Bear down, Harrison Graham here from Chicago Bears Now. We got a live mailbag to come, so use hashtag Bears or Super Chat. But first, want to remind you guys, follow me on Instagram, at HGrahamNFL. Want to crank up some IG Lives over there, take your questions in my DMs, all of that good stuff. Bears content being posted almost every single day, is every single day, at least in my IG story. A lot of posts as well, Bears NFL. At HGrahamNFL, give me a follow on Instagram. Ferni with the $2 Super Chat. Bears top 2 pass rush if Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn are back. In terms of in the NFL, maybe, man. I mean, with emergence of Travis Gibson as well. I like Kyrus Tonga on the interior as a future piece. This Bears pass rush is good. Angelo Blackson had a strong finish to the year. We'll see if he's in the future plans as a rotation guy. I'd like to keep him around as a rotation player. I like the Bears pass rush, man. It's damn good. Nathan, Josh McDaniels for OC. He's not going to leave the Patriots for anything less than a head coaching job. I mean, he left for a head coaching job and then changed his mind. That's how much he likes New England. So he wants to be Belichick's replacement. But if, I think a Bears head coaching offer would intrigue him. But we'll see if that actually happens. I think him leaving Indianapolis rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, but that's been a few years now, so I think he will be in the mix for some head coaching jobs. It'll come down to him if he wants to take any of them. Jordan Hackbarth, is Antonio Brown a good option to replace Allen Robinson? No. I don't want AB. Type FAB in the chat. You chat sports truthers know what's what. I don't want Antonio Brown. The drama's not worth it. Some Allen Robinson replacements that I would like. Chris Godwin. Obviously, Devontae Adams, if you can get him. I think it's the ultimate long shot. I think slightly lesser guys. Michael Gallup is out there. Mike Williams in Los Angeles. There's other players to replace Allen Robinson, but AB, he ain't one of them. Jolly Roger, would you trade Khalil Mack for a first-round pick? Interesting question. I'd have to consider it. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't at least consider this. I'll tell you this. I'm fascinated to see what the new GM's direction said. That's something George McCaskey said at his Monday presser is, listen, we're going to interview guys that we like, and then it's up to them to sell us. What do GMs sell George McCaskey and the search team? That also has Bill Polian on it. Do they believe in Justin Fields? Do they want to trade some vets like Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn? Do they want to, what are their plans for the offensive line? These are all questions I need answered when I'm going through this process if I am this search team. So I'm fascinated to see what these GMs pitch during these interviews, which, are already getting going here. So would you trade Khalil Mack for a first-round pick? I'll ask you guys. I'll reverse the question. Shout out producer Jack for getting that question ready. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Pin comment on today's video, so if you get hit with the YouTube ad break, you guys can answer right there. J-Rock, do you think Brian Flores can turn around the Bears culture? I think so. I mean, it seemed like he was liked among players in Miami, right? There's some chatter. Did he get along with other staffers in Miami? Certainly him and the GM, it appears, were not on the same page. The story, by the way, is that Brian Flores liked Justin Herbert and the GM liked Tua, and they took Tua. That makes things tricky. I like Flores. He's a Belichick guy, which those guys have been hit and miss. But I think Flores did a good job in Miami. 2 straight winning seasons after, having to turn things around after year 1. I think firing him was honestly a dumb move by Miami. Just a high school linebacker. Hey, I'm cheering for you. I think Jim Harbaugh is the best option. Agree. Him and Sean Payton. But I don't know if Sean Payton's actually an option, so Jim Harbaugh's my top guy. Jordy Cruz, would you rather us hire an offensive head coach or go back to defense? I would lean offense, but I wouldn't be immune to a defensive head coach. But you'd have to sell me on the offensive coordinator. That's what I'd be asking any head coach candidate that I'm interviewing that is a defensive guy. I am asking, okay, who's your offensive coordinator? And if you can't sell me on some names that I am confident in, I can't hire that person because I got to get a guy in here that can build around Justin Fields' strengths. Graham Rodgers, I feel better about the Bears who they are targeting for interviews. Agreed. Does anyone stand out to you that would be a really bad choice? I'm not saying he'd be bad, but I don't like the idea of Leslie Frazier just because he was a former Bear. He was not good in Minnesota as their head coach. We know he's a good defensive mind. We know he can run a defense, but The offense never got going with him as the head coach in Minnesota. He's a bit of an older guy, too. I don't mind him being older if he had success as a head coach, but if I'm going to go the older route, I want a guy who's been successful as a head coach or has something I can hold on to that I'm like, I don't think there's any way this can fail. And I know what Tony Dungy said. No one has a bad relationship with Leslie Frazier. He would get along with the GM, other coaches, and that's valuable. Player-coach relationships as well. But I need this offense to work, man. I need the offense to work. And I don't know if that would work with Leslie Frazier as the head coach. Follow me on Instagram at HGrahamNFL, at HGrahamNFL. More Bears news, rumors, tidbits. My IG story gets longer and longer as this Bears coaching and GM search gets underway. So give me a follow at HGrahamNFL, and I'll keep you guys up to date. More IG lives to come as well. Luke saying, what do you think of Greg Roman as head coach? He didn't crack my top 15. You know, I would be okay with him, though. I think the Ravens did as good as they could this year once Lamar Jackson went down with Tyler Huntley. That offense with Lamar is very specific to that type of quarterback. Fields is not Lamar Jackson in terms of he runs a 4-3 and you want to run it with him 15, 20 times a game. Fields is fast. He's a 4-4 guy, and you want to run him 8 to 10 times a game, but you don't want to run a read option offense with him. Like that's not really what I want. Can he adapt to Fields? Perhaps, but there's just other guys I like more. The Duke. Do you believe Olin Kreutz or George McCaskey on the $15 an hour controversy? If you don't know what he's talking about, look it up. It'll pop up quickly on Twitter, Google, whatever. McCaskey's hard to believe, I'll be honest. Now, I looked more into it, and it sounds like that technically it was an intern position, and that's just the going rate. But it's also like this is a former player that is beloved in your franchise. That's kind of not a cool move. And by the way, McCaskey didn't really deny it. He just said, take what Olin Kreutz says with a grain of salt. And look, Kreutz there could be some truth to that. I don't know the guy, but I tend to lean on Olin Kreutz's side on this one. And even if it's not completely true, for McCaskey to answer it the way he did, that was not a good move, in my opinion. He kind of threw him under the bus there. It's like, dude, this is a former player that other former players love. That's going to rub those guys the wrong way, too, and you want those former players being involved. Bearforever, $5. Appreciate it. If you were a GM, what specific position would you address first in the draft or free agency? God, it's hard to pick the first one. It would either be one of three things. Cornerback 2, opposite of Jalen Johnson, unless you just are convinced Thomas Graham's that guy. But since Matt Nagy didn't freaking play him down the stretch that much, there's not enough tape out there to make that determination. I think center's got to be one, unless you think you can beef up around Mustipher, but and then another receiver, because I don't think A-Rob's back. Maybe a new regime talks to him and convinces him to come back, but he wasn't even good this year. I think he'll be good in the future, but I think those three areas is what I'm looking for first. Nathan, what do you prioritize in the draft? Similar topics there. Obviously, it depends on who you sign in free agency. But another offensive lineman somewhere. Look, Cody Whitehair stunk this year. That's just a fact, especially in pass protection. Does James Daniels come back? Do you want to get another tackle and a left tackle maybe? Put Jenkins at right, slide Borum inside. That's an option. Secondary help. Safety, I think, could be a position to look at in the draft. Opposite of Eddie Jackson. I doubt Deshaun Gibson comes back. So I think those are some areas. Pass rusher, you can't ever have too many of those as well. Osamabinballin, wow. Should we get Aaron Rodgers? It's never going to happen, man. To quote Aaron Rodgers, it's never going to happen. Nah, man, you can't be getting Aaron Rodgers here. Can't do it. You can't do it, man. As good as he is, you can't do it. And by the way, it would never happen anyway, so it's a moot point. Who should the Bears hire as their next GM to replace Ryan Pace? Let's hear it. Who do you want as the Bears general manager? Louie with the super chat. Appreciate that. We're $27 away from 100. If we get there before Loop, we will take a shot. Shots on IG tonight. I doubt it. I'll be at my house, so probably not. We'll see, though. Harbaugh and Dodds. Yeah, I could bring my wife on. We could take a celebratory shot. Maybe we'll do that. Harbaugh and Dodds, Ireland and Peyton. I'm also not totally opposed to Dave Tobe. Olin on the radio response is good. Yeah, I heard his radio appearance was good, responding to McCaskey. I haven't listened to it, but I've heard the cliff notes. He's an entertaining guy. I watched some of his stuff with NBC Chicago. Yeah, those two pairings would be good, though. Harbaugh, Dodds, Ireland, Peyton. Yeah, I'm in. Bobby Ray. Realistically, who is the next head coach? Realistically, I don't think a clear top guy has emerged at this point. Now, we're live on Tuesday. You're watching this over the weekend, potentially, so maybe it's changed by then. But I don't know. Go check out my Nagy replacements video and take a look at some candidates. I think all those guys could be in the mix. Gosh, it's just so hard to say, man. I don't know. It's too early. We'll get to another question. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Ryan Smith. Shouldn't Aaron Rodgers decide the GM since he owns the Bears? That's good stuff. It did say that on Wikipedia at one point. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. We have time to get to a couple more, and then we will wrap this up. Get those questions in. Luke, this is the last question. Could we bring in Quincy Avery as a quarterbacks coach? Maybe, but that's going to come down to the head coach. Whatever the head coach wants, that's what he gets. That's what I say. He gets to assemble the staff, so go ahead and keep that in mind as we go through this process.